digital copies of all this if you find.
Yeah. So I highlighted all the stuff she's asking for.
Yeah.
Court is back in session.
Are we ready to proceed then?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Petrie, on the exhibits that the petitioners marked, can you tell me which ones that you plan to object to? I don't need to take necessarily your objections. I just need to know which ones I can admit.
You can go ahead and admit everything, Your Honor. I have no objections.
Okay, 1 through 62 are admitted. With regard to 100 through 32, Mr. Verso, do you have, can you tell me which ones you plan to object to?
She's muted.
I'm sorry, you're muted. You need to open up the...
My apologies, Your Honor. I am objecting to Respondent's Exhibit 100.
Okay, any others?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, 101 through 132 are admitted, and when you get to 100, you can present the basis for admissibility, and I'll rule on it then. But I don't need to deal with it now. Okay, so all exhibits except 100 have been admitted. Go ahead with your testimony, Mr. Verso.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before the break, I had pointed to Exhibit 4, which is a deed to my home, with the intent to prove that I am a homeowner and I have owned my home since October 2015. It has been the home that the boys have known for the past 5 years, and the only home that Archer has ever known, as he was born after the fact of my purchase. The respondent was not named on that deed for 2 reasons. First, because the home was purchased by inherited assets. Second, because we did not transfer our domestic partnership to Washington State when we moved from California. So as far as Washington was concerned, I was legally single at the time of the purchase. That fact
I'm not understanding how home ownership is relevant to the parenting plan.
All right, well, I'll admit it only to the extent of showing stability, but I agree with you to a large extent whether a person owns or rents their home doesn't have much to do with what I have to decide. Go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll leave it at that I do own my home and it does add stability to the boys. I would also like to draw the court's attention to Exhibit 23, page 52 of 53, so near the back end.
Exhibit number? Which exhibit number? I'm sorry.
Exhibit number 23, page 52 of 53. It is an email exchange with Orion's bio dad, Christopher Barnes. It shows an advertisement I put out on Craigslist in November 2009 to identify a donor for my first child. What I'm showing the court with this information is that it's the first initial decision that I made that was a major part of Orion's life, because I am arguing to the court that I have made the majority of major decisions for my sons. When I met Kate, she agreed that Chris Barnes could be the donor for us as a couple. So she deferred to my decision in that respect. And again, that was the first major decision of Orion's life. When we were trying to get pregnant and then I got pregnant, Kate wanted to have a water birth at home. I originally agreed, but became hesitant to do that. And eventually I vetoed that decision, stating that I wanted to give birth in a hospital, which I did. So I made the second most important decision of Orion's life, to make sure he was birthed in a place where if anything went wrong, we had medical resources. While I was pregnant with Orion, I joined a mom's group on Baby Center and stayed a part of that group up until now, which shows that as an active mother, I stay in touch with other mothers so that we can discuss the best ways to care for our children. Kate wanted me to have a natural birth, meaning no medications, and that was the goal. However, again, I made the decision to get an epidural after 3 days of labor, and I wrote the birth plan that I gave to the hospital, continuing the trend of making major decisions for Orion's well-being coming into this world. Kate, when I met her, was anti-vaccination. She had purchased a Dr. Sears book for me to read, and I did. But Kate and I had a conversation that because I was the child's biological mother, and therefore that child was going to carry my genetic future, I would reserve the right to have a mom veto card, is what we called it. And Kate agreed. After Orion's birth, while I was in the hospital, I was asked to name the father of my child by the staff. I chose to name Kate instead of Chris Barnes. So again, a decision I made. Also, after Orion's birth, I continued to keep in touch with Chris, as evidenced by the entirety of Binder 4, Exhibit 23. That is 53 pages worth of emails between myself and Chris over the duration of Orion's conception and life, which shows the court that I want my child to have contact with his bio parents, his bio dad, and that I do the work to maintain that relationship. If we look at Exhibit 54, you will see photographs of Chris meeting Orion at our home for the first time. And there is a second photo from a trip that I took to the Bay Area for Orion's second birthday. That was a trip Kate did not join me on because she said she had to work. She chose to work instead of go on a family trip to go spend time with my family and Orion's bio dad. By keeping in touch with Orion's bio dad, I found that he continued to donate to other couples, and I connected with those couples. I then created a Facebook group for all of us to keep in touch, and I have organized meetups for some of us to get together. Because as a mother, I believe it's important for Orion to know he does have genetic siblings and for him to maintain contact with them. This is evidenced by Exhibit 26, page 1 through 6. That shows screenshots of the birth group, or the parental group of Chris's other offspring. When I pulled the veto card regarding vaccinations with Orion, I did allow for him to go on a delayed schedule in an effort to be peaceful with Kate, but I also wanted to make sure his system didn't get overwhelmed. I made the decision to do the same thing with Archer. With Archer, I did pull the mom veto card in order to ensure that he received a pneumococcal vaccination shortly after birth, and I believe a pertussis vaccination because those illnesses were going around when he was born in December 2015. That is evidenced by Exhibit 5, page 19 of 97. Please let me know if you'd like me to slow down to look at evidence as I carry on.
All right, I will.
There are a variety of events that respondent has not attended, but I have, showing that I am the more involved parent. Here are some examples. There was a preschool play for Orion in or around spring 2016. He was a ghost for that play, and I made his costume. The petitioner did not attend because she wanted to work. There was a preschool play for Archer in or around spring 2018. He was a Minecraft character, Little Kelly, for that play. Sarah and I made his costume. Again, the petitioner did not attend because she wanted to, or the respondent did not attend because she wanted to work. For the open house to originally enroll Orion in kindergarten at Gauze Elementary School, the petitioner did not attend and did not fill out the enrollment paperwork. I did. There was an open house to meet Orion's first grade teacher at Gauze Elementary School, beginning of this last school year. She did not attend. Additionally, I have done nearly all the enrollment activities for the boys, including Gauze Elementary School. For Archer, it also includes Camas Montessori School, Brick Zone Preschool, and Clark College Preschool. You can look and flip through Exhibit 14, which is 71 pages, but if you flip through, you will see the consistency of my signature on all those forms. I also enrolled the children and filled out all the paperwork for them to enroll them in summer camp in the summer of 2019. That is Exhibit 44. Again, my signature on all the forms. I enrolled Orion for T-ball in the spring of 2017. Exhibit 45, my signature on the forms. I took Orion and enrolled him in fencing classes in the spring of 2016. Exhibit 48. I attended every single lesson. I can only recall the respondent attending one. I also enrolled Orion in soccer when he was a toddler. His soccer lessons were on Saturdays, and the petitioner did not attend any of them. When each child was born, I established plastic folders to hold their important records. When she left, the respondent did not even ask if she could take those with her, which further establishes me as the primary caregiver and her defaulting to that. You can see pictures of those boxes in Exhibit 13. The respondent has even acquiesced to me keeping possession of our certificate for domestic partnership. She needed it within the last few years, and I gave it to her, and she returned it after she was done needing it. More recently, Orion began losing teeth. He has lost 2 on my time and 1 on the respondent's time. Because I purchased memento boxes for the children to hold their teeth, I asked the respondent to let me have the teeth that they lost, and she agreed and gave me the 1 tooth that Orion had lost on her time. I have stored those teeth in those memento boxes. I'm going to be going to Exhibit 5 with this statement. On December 20th, 2015, I took Archer to the doctor alone for a well-child visit. This is the first time I met Dr. Samir Shihab. After the visit, I told Kate I wanted him to be the pediatrician for the boys, and she consented to my decision, again deferring to me as their biological mother. I will be looking at Exhibit 5, page 38. I took Archer to a medical appointment on September 9th, 2016, and expressed concern about his methods of being soothed and that he may be autistic or may have some developmental challenge. In the same appointment, I expressed the same concern for Orion. I had seen red flags that both children may be autistic or may have special needs with regard to how they're cared for. If you go to Exhibit 5, page 46, this is a medical appointment on July 14, 2017. I again mentioned I thought Archer may be autistic as I had recently been diagnosed, and my therapist told me there is a genetic proclivity. In this appointment, his pediatrician referred me to take him to speech therapy, and I got him enrolled. In Exhibit 5, page 52, on September 14, 2017, Archer was seen by a speech pathologist at Kaiser, and she recommended that he get enrolled in formal speech therapy services. I communicated with the respondent about this and checked her schedule. This is Exhibit 20, page 10. I made an appointment after talking to the respondent to get her schedule for Archer's intake at Innovative Services Northwest, which would be providing the speech therapy services. I sent the respondent a calendar invite via Google Calendar. She accepted tentatively and ended up not attending. So if you look at that enrollment paperwork, Exhibit 42, all pages, I ended up completing all that paperwork at that appointment by myself. In Exhibit 5, page 79, on May 23rd, 2019, I had a phone appointment to express my concern that Archer and Orion may also be autistic again. The focus very quickly shifted to Orion getting diagnosed as his needs seemed greater, given that he was school-aged at the time. I made an appointment for Orion to be seen on October 14th, 2019. I consulted with the respondent regarding whether that would work for her or not. On October 9th, This is Exhibit 5, page 80. The respondent contacted Kaiser about Archer and her concerns for him, given she had a temporary restraining order against me seeing him. She did not disclose this call or the results to me, which was in violation of our parenting plan. If you flip through the vaccination authorizations for Archer, which is Exhibit 5, pages 85 through 93, you will see that I signed every single one, and I alone. If you flip through the messages to Kaiser on behalf of Archer, Exhibit 6, pages 1 through 14, every single one was sent in and responded to by me, and I alone. Exhibit 8, pages 1 through 24. Again, 24 messages of me replying to and sending to Kaiser on behalf of Orion, alone. In the spirit of time, I do not want to review every doctor appointment the boys have had, but I did sort through all of them, and in most, the practitioner notes which parent is present for the visit, or if both are. I would like to submit Exhibit 63 at this time, which is a spreadsheet providing numbers associated with parental attendance at the medical appointments for the boys. I can share it on the screen share, I believe. Give me just a second to make that happen.
That's okay.
Your Honor, can you see this?
Yes.
And opposing counsel?
Yeah, I see it.
With respect to being the primary decision maker and more involved in the boys' lives, you can see that I've attended 19 of Archer's medical visits and the respondent has only attended 3. You can also see that I attended the majority of Orion's visits since we moved to Washington, with 20, where the respondent only attended 14. Are there any questions about that exhibit before I shut it down?
I don't have any questions.
No questions.
The respondent did not join me for prenatal
I'm sorry, I
appointments
guess I
for
do have a
Archer.
question. What was the number?
It was Exhibit 63, but it is a new submission, so I had it up on the screen share. Would you like me to put it back up?
No, I'm just trying, I don't, on the list that I have, I don't have an Exhibit 63. Do you have an Exhibit 63?
I do not, Your Honor. So that would need to be
No, the
provided.
clerk doesn't have marked an Exhibit 63.
Am I allowed to submit it as a new submission?
Well, as I said, I'm just telling you, there is no Exhibit 63, so if you want one, you're going to have it sent to the clerk and marked.
Got it. Thank you, Your Honor. Well, we'll just say that the numbers that I stated can be viewed if you comb through all the doctor's notes with respect to me attending the majority of the children's doctor appointments.
Go ahead, then.
Thank you. The respondent also did not join me for prenatal appointments for Archer, to my recollection. If we look at Exhibit 15 and flip through those pages, what you'll see is that my involvement to the children's education versus the respondent contains 69 pages of emails that I have sent back and forth with Archer's educators. I also submitted Exhibit 17, again, a huge amount of paper, which shows the court 206 pages of email communications that I have had with Orion's educators. I am deeply involved in their lives medically and educationally. I submitted marked up copies of both children's attendance records, Exhibit 35 and Exhibit 36. I would ask that the court scan those quickly. I have made them easy to understand.
Go ahead with your testimony.
What that shows is that the petitioner, have been able to get the children to school on time and in school more consistently than the respondent. Her time is marked in yellow and my parenting time is marked in purple. The respondent made false allegations to Kaiser when she called them on October 9th, 2019. In fact, it is she that has frustrated attempts to get Orion help for his unique needs. With the appointment that we had scheduled for October 14th for Orion to get an autistic diagnosis with the specialist, she moved that appointment without my consent to December because that was as soon as we could get him seen. And his behavior absolutely escalated between that time. He would have benefited from the services and the diagnosis sooner. I could not go home after the incident of October 1st due to the no contact order. Because I am autistic and my sons, I believe, are autistic and Orion is diagnosed now, I petitioned to the court to order my current wife to vacate my residence so that the boys and I could be on our parenting time at home. We need routines, we need structure, we are most comfortable in our comfort place of our residence. As an example of the respondent colluding with my wife at that time, she sent an email, and I'll look at Exhibit 27. She sent an email to my wife stating that she had never gotten a red flag about Orion or Archer being diagnosed as autistic, even though I had already told her I was concerned about it back in May and made the appointment for Orion's diagnosis on the 14th of October last year. She also stated that she did not know that I was autistic, which is false, because I started seeing a therapist while Kate and I were still together, and I saw that therapist who specialized in autism to help me understand and support Kate because she had been diagnosed autistic. In that series of therapy sessions to help Kate, my therapist told me that I was also autistic as well. He labeled me as Asperger's high functioning and indicated to me that there's a high genetic proclivity, again, with autism. When Kate sent that email to Sarah, it furthered Sarah's ability to keep me and my children away from the residence, which was very harmful to them because they are autistic and need to be in their safe space. I strike that because Orion is definitely autistic and needs to be in a safe space, and Archer, as a young child, needs to be in his safe space as well.
All right, well, we're going to break for lunch at this point, but before we do, I need to discuss one other issue the clerk brought to my attention. Exhibits 58 and 59 are listed as recordings of 911 calls, which apparently would be admissible without objection. However, the clerk has only been provided with a cover sheet which lists the date of the call. The actual CDs or other recordings of the calls have not been provided. So if you want,
Your Honor,
if you want me to consider those, you'll have to make arrangements to get them to the clerk.
Yes, Your Honor, those can be considered irrelevant at this point.
Okay, 58 and 59 are withdrawn then.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Take the admission away and show them as withdrawn. We'll resume again at 1:30.
Thank you, Your Honor.